Welcome to We Save short sessions for the benefit of IPCC students in Vizag and all over the other places. This is Venkat and Today's topic is accounting for vendors debtors and vendors creditors while acquisition of an enterprise. If a company acquiring another enterprise, sometimes the company may accept to realize the vendors debtors and to discharge the vendors creditors for a commission. While doing so, the company should maintain a separate accounting for vendor debtors and separate accounting for vendor creditors, since these are not their debtors and these are not their creditors. This accounting shall give the company a picture of how much is collected, how much is paid, and what is the commission, and what shall be the final settlement to be paid to the vendor. Assume a case where vendor debtors are 10 lakhs and vendors creditors are 6 lakhs, and commission accepted as net 10%, which is collection minus payment. Whatever you collected and whatever you paid, on the net you can claim a commission of 10%. How do the accounting works? When you undertake the debtors, you should write vendor debtor debit to vendor suspense. Why suspense? Because you may not be knowing how much you are going to collect and how much you are going to discharge, what is your commission. Till it is finalized, it shall be credited to suspense account, which is 10 lakhs. While undertaking the creditors, you should write vendor suspense to vendor creditors, which is 6 lakhs. Now, your account shows you received debtors worth 10 lakhs from the vendor and you also received creditors worth 6 lakhs from the vendor. Now your duty is to collect and pay. While collecting and discharging, you may be offering discounts to the debtors and you may be allowed discount from the creditors. The discount offered by you to the debtor shall be the expense of the vendor, and the discount collected by you from the creditor shall be the income to the vendor. So the benefit or the loss to do discount shall be passed on to the vendor. How do we account that? Assume 5% you given as a discount for debtors and another 5% debtors were proved to be bad. So total loss is 10%. You collected 9 lakhs and the loss shall be debited to vendor suspense 10 lakhs, and we should cancel vendor debtors 10 lakhs. 9 lakhs, 1 lakh and 10 lakhs. Out of 10 lakhs, you collected 9 and a loss of 1 lakh debited to vendor suspense, and you cancel vendor debtors. Similar way, when you are discharging your creditors, assume creditors were given you 5% discount. Then vendor creditors debit, you should pay them 6 lakhs. Whereas they gave you a discount which should be passed on to the vendor by crediting vendor suspense 30,000 and to bank balance 570. With this, your vendor debtor and your vendor creditor is totally cancelled from your books of accounts. Next, the minute you cancel these two, now you are supposed to settle the difference amount to the vendor after recovering your commission. Your commission is net. On the net, you can take 10%. How do you compute? Amount collected You collected from your debtors 9 lakhs. Amount discharged. You discharged to your creditors 5,70,000. The net amount is 3,30,000. Is what the amount you should pay to the vendor after taking your commission. And your commission is 10%, which is 33,000. So the final amount payable to the vendor is 2,97,000. How do we account it? As we arrived, collection 9 lakhs, discharge 570, balance 230 with you, and you should keep 33,000 as your commission, and you must pay back 297 to the vendor. How do we account it? Vendor suspense, which is 2,97,000, which is 3,30,000 minus 10%. To bank, you pay 297, and vendor suspense 33,000 to commission 33,000. Or you can club this entry: vendor suspense 3,30,000, to bank 297, and to commission 33. With this entry, your vendor suspense account will also get nullified. Now, finally, after all these entries, there should not be any balance in vendor suspense. There should not be any balance in vendor debtors. There should not be any balance in vendor creditors, and there should be balance in your commission, and there should be balance in your bank, which is nothing but 33,000 rupees. How it is? We do it by opening various accounts: vendor debtor, vendor creditor, vendor suspense, bank, and ultimately and finally commission. You receive debtors: credit suspense and debit debtor. You receive creditors, then you credit your creditor and you debit your suspense. Now the net amount is 2. Think it is 10, it is 6, it is 10, and it is 6. Balance is 4. Now you collected how much? 9. So bank 9 lakhs, and the balance loss is 1 lakh, which is nothing but discount and bad debts passed on to vendor suspense. So vendor suspense, it is 1 lakh, and bank, it is 9 lakhs. Similarly, when you are making a payment to creditor, how much you pay to creditor? Bank, you paid 570, and you must give a debit to vendor suspense 30, which is the amount to be payable to the vendor. So in this case, vendor suspense will be credited by 30, debiting vendor creditors. So suspense 30. as we discussed, in your bank account you need to credit 570. Now sustenance account is showing a balance of 10,30,000 minus 7 lakhs, which is 330. That should be paid, but your commission is 33, which shall be a debit to vendor suspense. And the balance net amount to be paid by you to the vendor is 1030 minus 733, which is 297. To bank 2,97,000, and bank vendor suspense 2,97,000. With this, your vendor debtors cancel 10 lakhs, vendor creditors cancel 6 lakhs, vendor suspense cancel 1030, and bank account shown a balance of 33,000, and commission account transfer to P&L 33,000. Ultimately, what is your income is 33,000, which is reflected in your bank account. Your asset side will be increased by 33,000 in the bank, and the liability side will be increased by 33,000 as your profit in terms of commission. All the other accounts shall be closed. This is the accounting for vendor debtor and vendor creditor when an enterprise accepts to collect the vendor debtors and to discharge the vendor creditors for a commission.